5, Volume 1 ends with a moment most of us have been waiting for years. Will Byers finally getting powers and fighting Vecna, setting up what promises to be an extremely intense finale.
And Vecna likes to control the hive mind like a puppet master. So maybe when you tap into the hive, you can pull the strings too.
In the final scene, we watch a once timid Will finally fight back to protect his friends and family. He shows powers that are almost identical to Vecna's, and he even manages to control the Demogorgons. But before we get into that final moment, we need to rewind to how all of this began and explain how Will got these powers and what they actually mean. This season, Vecna's pattern changes. In the previous season, he was targeting high school students, but this time he goes after much younger kids, beginning with Nancy's little sister, Holly. And that isn't the only shift. Will suddenly feels closer to Vecna than ever before. He can sense what Vecna is doing, he can understand his intentions, and he somehow slips into the hive mind. It feels almost as if he is Vecna, and this strange connection allows him to know who the monsters will target next. After realizing that he can identify these targets, Will and his friends decide to save the children and rescue Holly. But before they manage to reach them, Vecna discovers their plan and sends his army. The Demogorgons drag the kids into the Upside Down and then return to kill Will's friends, including Caleb, Robin, Murray, Mike, and Will's mom, Joyce. Just as the creatures are about to finish them off, something unexpected happens. The monsters freeze in place. Seeing his friends, especially Mike, on the brink of death pushes Will into a moment of clarity. He remembers Robin's earlier speech about believing in himself. He thinks of all the good memories with Mike, his mom, and his brother Jonathan, and in that emotional moment, something inside him unlocks. He gains powers of his own and manages to control and kill the Demogorgons, saving everyone he loves. He looks almost possessed, more focused, powerful, and confident than he has ever been. But one detail stands out: the way he kills the Demogorgons. He snaps their limbs the exact same way Vecna killed his victims last season, including Chrissy. This can only mean one thing. Will is now part Vecna, in some way connected to the hive mind, and capable of controlling the creatures of the Upside Down, just like Vecna himself. At the beginning of this season, we are taken back to the moment Will was first taken to the Upside Down. We see that a Demogorgon brought him directly to Vecna, who inserted a dark, unknown, tentacle-like substance into him, something believed to originate from the Upside Down's hive mind. The purpose was to create a permanent link between Vecna and Will and use him as a spy. But what Vecna didn't account for is what those substances actually did to Will. It's very likely that they didn't just connect them, they also gave Will the same abilities and powers Vecna has. And that changes everything. Will is no longer just Vecna's pawn or a passive observer trapped inside the hive mind. He is almost an equal now. He carries the same darkness, the same strength, and the same connection to the hive mind, but he is using it to fight back. This makes him far more dangerous than Vecna ever expected, and far more powerful than he ever realized he could be. But I don't think Vecna ever expected that Will would eventually become strong enough to use those substances to his own advantage. This becomes even clearer later, when Vecna explains to Will that he is taking younger kids now because he learned through Will that children are easier to manipulate and control. This indirectly suggests that last season, dealing with teenagers proved harder than he expected because they figured out ways to fight him. When Will gets his visions, we also see that Vecna has already taken more kids. There are about 3 children he is feeding the same substance he once fed Will. And if those kids manage to escape, which is very likely with Max's help, they will join forces and fight back. When they return to Hawkins, they will join Will, 11, and number 8, who has also returned. And together, they will face Vecna. He doesn't realize it yet, but Vecna is accidentally creating the monsters who will become the reason for his downfall. All of this tells us that the ending of this story is going to be massive.